Alright, hello guys and welcome to another video. This will be the second tutorial video in 3D modeling. Last video we modeled this axe right here, and today we're going to learn how to turbo smooth and detail the model even more. Now this is not going to be a super detailed model, and the turbo smoothing might be a little off in some places. That's because I'm trying to keep the video short as possible, about an hour. I will try to keep it around an hour, and I expect you to work more with your model to make it more refined and even detail it even more than I can show in this video. And we're gonna get to it, but before we start doing anything with the model, I want to explain turbo smoothing and subdivision modeling, because it's probably one of the hardest things to understand when you're first learning this software. And yeah, some things may be harder to get in the long term, in the short term, but this will be hard to get in the long term. Like, it takes a long time to master is what I'm trying to say. So first off, we're gonna hide this. Let's see, where is it? Hide selection. There it is. And then we're just gonna make a plane. You don't have to do this. You can do this, but this is just the way I'm going to explain turbo smoothing. I'm going to make a plane with one edge, and what I do there is that I select the edge, hold down shift, use the move tool and just drag it right up. I can show you again. Select the edge, use the move tool, hold shift and drag it right up. Now in this tutorial I'm not going to explain that much about how I use the tools and so on and so forth, because you can ask me in the comments if there's something you don't understand how I do, or something like that. I assume that if you managed to complete the other video, you understand the tools so well that I don't need to explain what I'm doing here as much. So now we have two faces. 1, 2. We have 3 edges. 1, 2, 3. We have the side edges here, but let's not worry about those for the moment. Now I'm just going to go and apply the turbo smooth modifier right away so you can see what it does. See here? It divides the mesh one time. Each surface gets divided into 4. So every time, for every iterations, each of these will become another 4. Like so. Like so. You see? It smooths the surface. Hence the name turbo smooth. And since this is just 2 polygons, we can go to 4 iterations. Now, something you don't have to, but I recommend using this to save graphical memory, is to use this function called isoline display. It shows the underlying geometry and instead of the turbo smoothed geometry, because when you get a lot of iterations, you can't really see what's going on, and you may start getting lag, and you don't want viewport lag because you can't do anything then. So now that you see what it does, I will explain how it works. The way it works is that it tries to create a curve that is the average of 3 angles, of 3 edges in one angle, because you have to have 3 edges to create one angle. So if I'm just gonna add some edges here. It's the wrong slider. There we go. Just gonna make it blatantly obvious and take them really close together. As you can see, here we have 3 edges. 1, 2, 3. That defines this curve that is going to show up right here. You see, it gets much tighter because we have 3 edges defining it. Now you may notice that these sort of pop out a bit once we click the turbo. See? Sort of pop out. That's because this edge is defined by these 3 edges right here. Oops. This edge is defined by these 3. So obviously, it tries to even out the spaces. It will be naturally pulled towards the larger surface. That's just the way it is. Now, as hard as this may be to get the first time, I'm going to make a cube, and I'm going to show you how to turbo smooth a cube. Press G to get the grid up. Make a box. Cube creation mode. Just make a cube. Like so. Convert it to an editable polygon. And yeah, that's here. I'm just going to show you once again what the turbo smoother does with the box straight out of. See, it turns to sort of a sphere. It's not quite a sphere because, well, you know, yeah, it's pretty round, but it's not completely round. It's a little boxy-like sphere. It's kind of hard to understand why, but it's a sphere, sphere-ish. Let's turn down the iterations here. So if we want a tight box, but we want these edges to be sort of, how do I say, we want the highlighted edges. And if I press F4 here to get away the lines, there are no highlighted edges. And in real life, and even if you're making something that's not real life, 3D artists always pull from real life physics and understanding of how the universe works. So we want these edges to be highlighted. There's never a completely sharp edge in this world. It doesn't exist. Not even on a knife. Even though that's so minuscule you can't even see it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click on ring. We're going to select one edge and click on ring to select all the edges around. And we're going to click connect. We're going to connect 2 edges, not the slide. Pinch them out like so. I'm going to say 90. And I'm going to do this for all the axes. So ring and connect. I'm just going to show you what this looks like. It's going to turn in sort of a cylinder-ish. It's going to look kind of weird, actually. Now, you get these bugs right here. So now some surfaces are smooth and others are really sharp, as you can see. We're going to make them all sharp so you can see why. Now what I'm doing here is just adding support edges along all the edges that I want to be sharpened. So for this edge, I have 1, 2 support edges. Now you may wonder, what in the world? This is a very small surface compared to this. We're going to fix that later. But just going to look at it, how it looks out of the box. We're going to put on Iceline display. As you can see, the support edges get pulled way down. But if you look at the box now, you have these highlights on the edges. I'm just going to apply it. I'm used to working at a larger resolution, so that's why the window is so large. Just going to apply a material with a lot of specularity. We're going to select the object and apply it. Yeah, just didn't increase that much, but you can still see the highlights here. The highlights, and this is something that I usually always want, but you can get away with not doing it. So let's remove this, remove the turbo smooth modifier, and we're going to loop all of these Control, backspace to remove them. Not delete, remove. It removes the vertices, underlying vertices as well. So now that we got the concept of turbo smoothing in place and how it turbo smooths a box and how to support sharp edges in order to get a machined edge, which will be critical in making our axe because it's not a flobby blob. It's made of metal and wood, and it's made to kill. You know, you can't have a flaccid kind of lump of whatever to kill. You know, you need a real axe. Now I'm going to show you just a technique that you use if some objects are far away, but you still want that highlighted edge. And what I use is called a chamfer. Use way less polygons on this, but you still can get that highlighted edge. Now, this is only if the object is going to be far away and you're not going to see it. Then you can do this. You know, you get the sort of the same effect. The chamfering the edges really works. So, now that we know about turbo smoothing, we're going to unhide all. Zoom in on our axe. And we're going to start by detailing the head.